We are here. It is episode 1 of the Pressure on Purpose podcast. Welcome to the Pressure on Purpose podcast, a podcast that discusses our path and our personal process to purpose,
Yeah.
while also encouraging others on their paths and their process to purpose. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Gabrielle Rocker. And I know you see my heavy hitter to the left of me, my girl.
Alex Dollar.
Yes.
So happy to be here. So happy to finally do this with you. We've
I
been talking
know.
about it for a long time. So,
Yeah. And I think it's only right that we start the Pressure on Purpose podcast. I think it's only right that we start off with talking about purpose,
yeah.
even though we'll get into a lot of other juicy things because along the process and along the pathway to purpose, there's a lot of other things that happen that I don't even know if I'll get the answers to on this side. I don't even know if they're going to have anything to do with my purpose or not.
Like, we have so much great conversation just on the phone, out to eat with our friends. And I feel like there's so much that you have to pour out to other people.
Yeah.
And I think that, people are always like, oh, here's another podcast, or here's other people who feel like their opinions matter. But this is so much more than that. I think people have been hinting this idea around to you specifically for so long.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for people to be able to experience you in this type of light, because I feel like I experience it so much. But I'm like, the fact that we're even doing this is just kind of like full circle. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I think it's crazy. You hear a lot of things along the way of what you should do, what you should be.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's hard for, I know, me to accept.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like you got to take the meat and spit out the bones. I've heard everything.
Yeah.
From you should be an actress, you should be a publicist, you should be a flight attendant, you should be on a podcast. So it's like, at times I'm like, I don't know. I'm so serious about not doing just anything that I feel like I have a lot of material, but I've done nothing with it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the opportunity and you literally pushing me into my purpose, which I do know
Yeah.
is to inspire and uplift others.
Absolutely.
That I am confident in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I've taken a lot of notes from you with purpose because you are somebody who I literally witnessed. We were together going after one thing that you felt was your purpose.
Yeah.
And I felt like we took a pivot because when you pivot, I pivot.
Yeah. It was kind of like both decisions were happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, just to give a little backstory on me, so I'm a music executive now, but it took me a long journey to get here.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, I grew up around a lot of like music, and my parents really pushed us to, create and rap and sing and join the praise teams and church and choirs and all that stuff. And that kind of just started fueling a passion. So I had got a little bit more curious with that through middle school and high school.
Yeah.
And I took it really serious when I was in high school. I ended up getting a manager and going to New York and pursuing a record deal. Mm-hmm. And you were around during this time because we went to the same high school.
Yeah.
And that was just such a big moment for me. But I feel like that was my first kind of like interaction when it came to feeling the pressure. When it came to like pursuing my purpose.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, this pressure is a little different from what I felt in the past, because this is kind of like, it was kind of like the end of the movie, like what's going to happen, like all of this momentum building up to what, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Basically what happened is I ended up, having the meeting, and in that meeting, I had like a self-awareness moment. And even though I was so young at that time, I know that that's what it was, because in my gut, I'm like, wow, I've gotten all the way to this point, and I've worked so hard to get at this moment, and it doesn't feel like I thought it would.
It was your life's work at that moment.
Yeah, because, I'm sitting there talking to the VP at the time of A&R, and she's asking me all of these questions about myself and my music and my artistry. And I was just like overwhelmed and didn't have the answers. It's like, I enjoyed making music. I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed, everything that came with it. But I didn't really understand that it was so much of a business and how identity played such a big part
Yes.
in being an artist.
Yes.
And I realized in that moment, even though this is everything that I dreamed about and wanted in that moment, I knew I had to pivot because I didn't feel like it was truly my destiny.
You were honest
in
with
that
yourself.
way.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And like I've said before, I think we get so caught up in the grind to
Yeah.
purpose that we don't actually play out the destination. Like, I think you really need to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
I remember when I wanted to be a flight attendant, and during the process, every time, I got a step closer in the interview, I'm like, oh my gosh, only less than 1% make it in the room. I can't wait to take the pictures. I can't wait to say I got my wings. I can't wait to wear the sleek bun with the red lip. But when I actually thought about being a flight attendant, when I actually thought about, okay, the destination, don't get caught up in the grind telling everybody what you're doing.
Yeah.
When I actually thought about passing out peanuts and asking, would you like a Coke, water, or anything like that, my heart would sink. I didn't have peace. But I wasn't ready to be honest with myself until I feel like I was forced to be honest with myself.
Yeah.
I feel like, I did. I made it into the room. And like you, I had that moment too. Do I really want to be first in line if something goes wrong?
Yeah.
Do I really want to be a flight attendant? Or am I caught up in the glitz and glamour of what it is?
Yeah.
And I feel like with purpose, it's very important that we're honest with ourselves and that we check our motives.
Yep.
If you're doing something just because, I want to be an artist because I'm going to be seen and I'm going to be famous, I think you need to check your motive and really be honest with yourself. One way that I am very honest with myself now is I'm always cognizant of what comes up. I'm always cognizant of what self is telling me instead of what I'm telling self.
Yeah.
Because so many times I feel like stuff that comes up, I know it's the truth, but then I will start talking back at myself with answers.
Yeah.
To combat it. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, you really don't want to.
And it's like there's also people that are like overthinkers though too.
Yeah.
So it's hard for them to even like hear what's really going on the inside of themselves, or even like be in touch with themselves that deep. But I think what's so important, if you're that type of person, is to like you said the other day, like talk to other people and you'll be able to hear what you're good at. Listen to the compliments people give you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to lie to yourself if you're truly listening to what other people are pushing you towards as well. Not saying that people should like steer your destination or like be the end all be all.
Right.
But it's good to kind of like get feedback and just hear other opinions.
How
because,
do you come off to people?
Yeah, like if you want to be a singer, but at the end of the day, you got 4 likes on an Instagram post and you have, it's been 20 years and you're not have, a certain amount of monthly listeners, or just like some type of fruit that is basically leading you and guiding you into like progression, then you need to look at that stuff and not be like, oh, but I know that this is what God has called me to do. Or I know that this is my passion because of the way it makes me feel. It's like, but are you being progressive in that journey?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Check your motives. Why do you keep going after something that is bearing no fruit?
Right.
And, we as Christians, we as believers especially, we love to wrap it up in, well, delayed is never denied. Delayed is not denied, and it's just not my time yet.
Yeah.
And I believe it. This whole podcast is built around the path and the process to purpose. I do believe that. But I also know the difference. I know how it is when you're going after something that just clearly it isn't your purpose, and you're too busy in the way, and you're telling again yourself what you want it to be instead of listening for what it really is.
Yeah.
So
what are some ways that people that are listening, if they're like struggling with really honing in on purpose and passion, or even just distinguishing like the difference between purpose and passion? You know what I'm saying? What are some ways that you feel like people can tap into, or some steps that we can give them to help them identify how to truly find, or at least start navigating what your purpose may be?
When you're younger, people ask you, what do you want to be? When you get older, people tell you what you should be.
Yeah.
You know, people start to tell you, you should be a publicist. You're really good at that. You need to be on TV. You need to do this. You need to do that.
Yeah.
But when you're a little girl, they don't tell you. They ask you,
Right.
what do you want to be? And I think listening to self, what do you really want to be? What did you say you wanted to be as a child? I think going back to who you were as a child will help you identify purpose. I think getting still before God and asking him, what is my purpose?
Yeah.
I think looking at your natural gift, what are you naturally good at? Now,
Yeah.
God has given us many gifts and talents. Do I think just because you're good at singing, everyone's going to be a singer? No.
Right.
Good writer, everyone's going to be an author? No. But I think getting before God and really asking him, he will reveal your purpose to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trust him and take that, though. Don't say, yeah, I know what you told me, but I want to do this.
Right.
That's not in the forefront enough for me. I want to be in front of the camera. God, that's behind the camera. I don't do, because what you think is going to give you true fulfillment isn't. But what God has revealed to you, what he's told you your purpose is,
Yeah.
nothing fulfills you like purpose, and nobody can do your purpose like you. Even if it's, a lot of us may have the same purpose. Like, you know, there's a lot of pastors out there. There's a lot of artists out there. There's a lot of clothing designers out there, but everyone has their own flair to it.
Yeah.
You know, they use the grocery store example a lot. Go to the grocery store, there's many brands of mayonnaise, of bread, of eggs, of butter, right? But each one has its own flair. There's something different.
Right.
And there's room for all of it on the shelf.
Right.
When you tap into God and he shows you yourself, he's going to show you what your purpose is as well.
That's good. I also want to talk about like the power of pivoting. You know what I'm saying? Because I think when you talk about purpose, people always want to negate that because let's just face it. I think, you know, when you get in your, you know, your early 30s and like, you know, even like the end of your 20s, you see people, you know, move on and get married and have babies and really lock in on their careers.
Yes.
And sometimes, you know, some of us are having a hard time really identifying, you know, what to lock in on, what careers to lock in on, what the next step is. And when you've been doing something, let's say, you know, you got into like styling when you were, you know, graduating college and it's been a good amount of time and it's not taking off. I think I'm not a champion for like giving up or quitting, but I myself had to pivot from something that I felt like I would never pivot from.
You did.
And the reason I am such a champion for pivoting is there's a way where you can do it and just not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, even though I'd end up being in front of the camera, in front singing, in front promoting, in front, you know what I'm saying, being the artist, I was still able to work in the music industry, but just in a different capacity. But if I never accepted the fact that I needed to pivot to something else, then I wouldn't have been able to really like walk into my purpose and my destiny.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Would you say that being a music executive, is it more fulfilling than the feeling that you had when you were about to sign as an artist?
Absolutely. And the interesting thing about it is I felt like an interest when it came to business since I was a little girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like I was that little girl, like when I look at my home videos and stuff, like I'm on the stage doing ballet with like a straight face. Like I was a very serious child.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even though I was like, you know, a regular kid, it was just, I
Right.
took things very seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I've always just been intrigued with like processes and you know, SOPs and just like really understanding how things work, how businesses are structured and, you know, what specific positions are needed for the whole thing to run at a high level. I've always been interested in that wherever I've went. So I think it's interesting that I've been able to like collide both of those worlds. And I think it's a blessing. But I think that if I wasn't accepting of, okay, this is what I need to do, not this is what I want to do, I don't think that I would have ever been able to make it to this place. So when I hear people or when I talk to my friends or my family and they're having a hard time pivoting, I'm like, you gotta just see what's on the other side of that. If you do just kind of look around the corner and say, well, let me try something else.
No, I agree. And I think the powerful thing about it is you still ended up in the music industry. And I think that's why it's so important that we understand God promised us the purpose. He promised us the purpose. He promised us the destiny, but he did not promise us the way.
Yeah.
And I think we get caught up in, I know my purpose, and so now I know the way he's going to do it.
Yeah.
I know, and when it's really the way that you want to do it.
Yeah.
I want to do music. I know exactly I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to do, when really it's like, no, you're actually on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to pivot because you never know the way God is going to do something.
You
Bible
never.
says, he prophesies in part. So even when you think you know the destiny, it's not always what you think it is.
Yeah.
He blows our minds. His job is to do, God's job is to do more than we imagined.
Yeah.
Not what we imagine.
And sometimes when you're finding your way to the destination, you have to be accepting of all the lessons that you learn on that like journey, because I feel like I wouldn't be sensitive to certain things that my artists are going through if I weren't able to like experience some of those things for myself.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or the insecurities or the pressure or,
yes.
the uncomfortabilities that may come in certain scenarios when you're trying to promote an album or when you're just starting off as an artist. I feel like I can be way more sensitive to those things because I was able to, experience that for myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
I know for a fact that, I say it this way, you'll serve in places that you'll later reign in.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that you don't skip the process and that you remain humble. You don't think you're too good for this or for that, because like you said, you wouldn't be able to do a lot of what you do today had you not gone through what you went through yesterday.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that we realize the journey is just as important, if not more important, than the destination.
Yeah.
Because all the journey is, it's preparation for the destination.
Yeah.
So, and not that even on this side of the earth, I think, nothing is final. I'm not saying that we've arrived.
Yeah.
I believe once you arrive on this earth, I believe God takes you out, you're done.
Right.
And you go on to glory. But I think it's very important that we pay attention to the journey. And I know along our journey, as assignments come, as we go to the different places that God has for us, we see the footprints of God.
Absolutely.
And we'll begin to kind of see where he's going. I know that you'll be blinded at first.
Yeah.
I know I went through my wilderness season of, I thought I was going to be out of a job for 2 weeks, and I was literally led into a wilderness season that lasted 2 years. And
before you keep going, what is your definition of, because I hear the wilderness season from many different people, but what would you say is like your definition of like the wilderness season?
I know the wilderness season is the land of the unknown for me. It's where I believe God really shows you who he is. He shows you his character. It's like a boot camp. The beautiful thing about it is, in my wilderness season, the more that it was my isolated time with God, for real, it was like my rededication, right? It was that time where I found out I knew of God, but I did not know God.
Yeah.
And I got to know him and his ways and his character.
Yeah.
I got to know that God is consistent, but he's unpredictable. I got to know that he will give me different nuggets and give me different hints, but he's not going to give me all the details. I truly got to know God for myself, but it was very hard because I had never been in that place of the unknown. You go to high school, I knew the next step was college.
Yeah.
Okay, even after college, I thought I knew the next step.
Yeah.
I'm going to go be a publicist. And then I thought, I'm going to go be a flight attendant. And it wasn't until God erased everything. He told me to quit my job. I quit my job. And when I did not get it, I didn't get the job as a flight attendant. I was like, Lord, oh my gosh, what is this?
Yeah. Kind of like panic mode.
Yes. I thought I had messed up. I thought something went wrong. I didn't hear God. And I will never forget. He told me so clearly. He said, Gabrielle, don't mistake discomfort for disobedience. And that was when I knew I was in for a ride that I didn't know I was about to go on.
Yeah.
But it was the wilderness season. I wouldn't trade anything for it. But yeah, it's literally the land of the unknown. It's where you get to know God, and the more you get to know God, you get to know you, because he starts to reveal to you who you really are. Yeah, I think I'll say it's even the driveway to purpose. I believe after the wilderness season, I believe you're launched into your purpose. Oftentimes, I would say from my experience.
Yeah, and it's like I can agree with that. I feel like for me, my wilderness season, I'm just kind of like a hustler. So when
Yeah.
my isolation turns into like work, I don't have
Yes.
anything to say. I don't want to have a social life. I don't want to be in a relationship. I just want to get somewhere and work
Yes.
and sow seed, and
Yeah.
just cross my fingers that one day a harvest will come. And I think like for a long period of time, I was doing that, not really like just hoping that the hard work would eventually pay off. But
Did it?
it did.
Yeah.
It did. But it was one of those things to where it's like I never saw it coming. You know what I'm saying? Like
Never
I
saw what
didn't.
coming.
I couldn't have timed it. I never
Yes.
expected that it would come in the way that it did. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? I kind
Right.
of felt like there was nothing else or nothing next to come.
It was a window. It looked like a window, but it was a door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So sometimes people's wilderness seasons look different, and I think that's
Absolutely.
okay. But I think it's something that you have to embrace.
Yeah.
I think it makes you stronger, and you're more grateful when you get to the other side.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Of
And I
all
feel
the
like you're
things.
confident. I
Yeah.
believe there's a certain confidence that you have when you have gone through the process with God. When you know what your purpose is, there's a
Yeah.
certain confidence that you carry.
Yeah.
Knowing that I can handle this weight. I can handle this mantle that I've been given. And I
Yeah.
think that's very important because every mantle looks easy until you have to carry it.
Yeah, and it's like our generation too now, they want things to happen so quickly.
Oh,
They
yeah.
want to pick
Yeah.
a career, or they want to and they want to, water it for, 6 to 8 months, and they expect so much.
I expected it.
You know what I'm
I thought the
saying?
same thing.
Even now, like I'm gonna be honest. I think I get a little agitated when people reach out to me and because they have my information, or like we have some type of contact. Then they feel like they should be obligated for me to listen to their music, or for me to put them on.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's like now, like when I was trying to be in the music industry and I would do, hit people up and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Now I see why I would get ignored at times, because it's like nobody gave me a hand and helped me get to where I was step by step. Now there were always like people who like, mentorships, or just
Relationships.
gave me an opportunity.
Yes.
But as far as the certain opportunities that I was able to cultivate, that came from hard work. Period. You know what I'm saying? Before I could even get in some of these rooms or get certain jobs, there were years
Yes.
of staying up till 3:00 in the morning,
Yes.
making countless songs, writing, getting rejected, getting feedback, getting my
Yes.
feelings hurt, going to this vocal lesson, learning how to play the piano, learning how to play the guitar. These are things that took years to do. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So when people kind of just expect this whole like microwavable, outcome, it kind of just takes me back a little bit. So when I talk to like younger people, or like my sisters and their friends and stuff like that, my little sisters, I'm like, y'all, you can't get so impatient
Yes.
to where you're just ready to throw in the towel because things aren't moving as quickly as you want them to move.
Right.
Like you have to become a master
Yes.
of that art.
Yes.
And eventually, due to your, you not giving up, there's something that always comes on the other side of hard work.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things. I believe that we can't think that because we grind, we're going to get the outcome that we want.
Yeah.
I believe it has to be destined for you. And I'll say it this way. You can't wait out your work, and you can't outwork your wait. And so we get caught up in, I pulled a 20. I pulled an all-nighter. I've been working all night, or I've been working for years. And it's like, at the end of the day, if it's not your time, it's not your time.
Yeah.
And you know that. You can email, you can call, you can do it all.
Yeah.
And I believe in the power of relationships. So I can kind of understand, I guess, why people would email you or call you. But I also understand the frustration. Because you've been there before. So you were that person too.
Yeah.
At one point. But you get it now. Like, okay, wait.
It's a difference between like hitting somebody up and saying, I need your feedback.
Yeah.
I'm always like,
yes.
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But when I was trying to do this, it's like, put me on. I need an opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's like, it's a difference between, if I should have been asking for more feedback. You know what I'm saying? Because when I got in certain situations, I'm like, oh, like, I wish actually I would have been humble a long time ago. Because then I would have been able to intentionally work on certain things.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But I think
Yes.
in the process, there's a time where you need to just dedicate perfecting your art and becoming the
Yes.
best that you can be, and learning and grinding and going out and shadowing people to make sure that you're sharpening yourself as a, when it comes to your art. And then there's a time to be intentional with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, now that I feel like I've gone to another level, let me come up with a plan
Yes.
that can then excel me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I don't understand when I see people going to the studio, freestyling, making the same type of songs for 10, 15 years and expecting a different outcome. You know what I'm saying? Who are you reaching out to for feedback? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Are you ever sitting down, becoming better and then figuring out a plan on how you can go to the next level? Like, you can't just keep doing the same thing and expecting like better results.
Oh no,
you know
I
what I'm
agree.
saying?
And like I said, I really believe, I know honesty plays a big part in purpose.
Yeah.
Are you being honest with yourself? Are you being honest with yourself?
That's a big one.
Are you really being honest with yourself? When you lay down at night, what comes to you is the truth, not what you tell yourself when you like wake up. I mean, we know that. I would say like the easiest way to put it is when you're in a relationship or you're talking to somebody, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna call you back. My mom's in the hospital. It will come up if that's a lie. I don't have to make. I don't. It'll just come up like that's not true. But what I do, I'll start talking to myself.
Yeah.
No, his mom is, because I mean, she did look like she was a little out of shape, so she probably did have and it's like, okay, now you're talking to self. Listen to what self told you.
Yeah.
That was a lie.
Yeah.
And so I think with purpose, it's the same thing.
Absolutely.
I've gone after things that weren't for me.
Yeah.
Did I know they weren't for me? Now that I look back and look at what did I ignore? Yeah, I knew in the moment.
Yeah. But even to add to what we were saying, even with the steps of how to even identify our purpose, I think another really important step is just simply like getting to know yourself.
It's so important.
Oh my gosh. Not getting to know the things that you like based on what you're around or what your brother or sister did or what your parents did. No.
Oh my goodness.
It's so important. You cannot identify purpose until you identify who you are.
Who you are first.
For yourself.
And I will say that with my process in the wilderness, I believe that's the first thing God did was he showed me who he was. He showed me who I was because I didn't even know who I was.
Yeah.
And then he literally showed me my purpose.
Yeah.
I thought that once he showed me though, I thought everything would start tomorrow. I thought everything was coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, he showed me. Wait, there's a process.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness. I don't even think I'd ever heard of the wilderness, other than Jesus was led into the wilderness. But he literally downloaded everything in me. Like, this is how this goes.
Yeah.
It doesn't just start tomorrow, girl. You're not even ready. This is just what I'm going to show you so you have something to go after.
Absolutely.
But there is a road that oh my goodness, and it wasn't an easy road.
Yeah.
But I want to leave the people with this. I want them to know everybody has a purpose. Nobody can do your purpose the way that you can do your purpose.
Yeah.
Does God have a purpose for you? Yes, he does. Will he reveal it? Yes, he will. Seek him, and I promise you will find it. I want you to answer these questions with absolutely. Absolutely is one of my favorite words. I use it all the time. And it means without qualifications. It means totally. It means without limitation.
Yeah.
And so when I ask these questions, I want you to answer absolutely because there's no other answer. The answer is absolutely. Do you have a purpose? Absolutely. Are you the perfect person for your purpose? Absolutely. Are you willing to pivot for purpose? Absolutely. And will you apply pressure on purpose? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.